Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the disability community.
Well, my name is Shannon Olsen, and I have actually been a special education teacher for over 20 years. I'm creeping on 25. I don't like to say the whole number. Makes me feel old. So I actually didn't initially want to become a teacher at all. And I went to school to be a psychologist, and I wanted to work with children in the hospital setting and to work with children who were terminally ill. And I did an internship at a school for students with disabilities. And I really just kind of fell in love with the field. And I decided to change my major, and so that's how I became a teacher. And as through my teaching career, I always saw amazing advocates help my parents get the things that their students needed at school that I couldn't convince my administrators to provide. And so I always said, when I grow up, I want to be an advocate. I'm now grown up
Mhm.
and I am now an advocate as well as a special education teacher. So I live in both realms.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, tell me about your work in special education.
Yeah, right now I've been teaching at the high school level for 17 years, 18 years. And so I work with students primarily who have intellectual disabilities, who have difficulty communicating. And so that's where my heart is, working with my students. And it brings me great joy and sometimes a little struggle, but that's a good thing for me. And so I've been at a high school level for a long time now. I also taught elementary, and I've taught transition age from 18 to 22 as well.
Mm-hmm. So, my next question is, what are some of the issues that students with special needs face in the educational realm?
There's lots of issues that we face for our students with special needs. And my biggest one for my student population is to find opportunities for inclusion and to create that type of environment at the school setting. I've had the great benefit of being at some school sites who are very invested in inclusion and making sure that my students are seen as students first and not someone with a disability first, and that they are included in all sorts of, that they're going to prom and that they're going to football games and that they're part of ASB or they're part of yearbook, um, not just going to PE, right? And then I've been at school sites where they weren't as included, and trying to build that community for them has been one of my great joys. And so that's, I think, where I find my best skill set is for my students, is really um, helping them gain inclusion in the school setting. Now, other students who are not as impacted as my students, they still struggle with the academics and also being seen by their peers. So there's lots of different categories or instances where we need to improve in the school system.
Mm-hmm. My next question is, how do you create an equitable education for these students? Any tools and strategies? Because I would bet every a student with special needs is different, so and they need different tools and strategies to really maximize their education.
Right. And one of them is really being involved in their IEP and being involved in their IEP team. Our students are supposed to be involved, and you have a voice, especially at the high school level. Everybody has a voice. You have a voice of your wants and needs and desires. And for adults, parents, caregivers, teachers to teach those skills to really any student on how to advocate and ask effectively for the things that they want and need, I think is a priority. So being involved in their IEP is extremely important. And then really having that support network of educators, of paraprofessionals, of administrators to really work with the parents and the students to provide them the best education possible. And that's our goal.
Mm-hmm. My last question is, what can other special education teachers, educators learn from this? How can they create an equitable, inclusive education for students with disabilities, because not every school or educator has the tools to, work with every student with a disability.
And that is a fair point. So one is be open to learning and not to get stuck in the same day-to-day thing. And live in what I call Groundhog Day. Everything looks the same all the time. Every student just needs this and nothing else. And they're not willing to grow. And I'll be honest, when I first started teaching, I saw educators who were older than me because, you start young in your 20s. And I saw that some of them were already stuck. And I really made that promise to myself and to my students that I wasn't going to be stuck. And believe it or not, I learned things off of TikTok. I learned things off of YouTube, from Instagram. There are younger educators that inspire me. And I'm just like, I want to do that. I didn't know that was possible. Thank you for sharing out in the world. And I really think the use of social media for educators to share their gifts is breaking those boundaries a little bit. And so I think it's a good thing, but we always have to be willing to try something new and to learn something new, not to get stuck, not to decide that we know everything because we don't, we know nothing.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure.